everyone, today we're going to be looking at the Big Shot Pro. Now this is a beast of a machine. Before I start to talk about the Pro actually, let me just explain to you about the different machines that Sizzix make. I've got videos, if you look on my YouTube, if you haven't already looked at them, I have already done videos on all the other machines that Sizzix make. There's a standard size Big Shot, there's the Big Shot Plus, the Sizzix Foldaway Big Shot, and then there's the small Sidekick. So Sizzix have kind of got machines covering all crafters, all types of crafters and all levels of crafters. All of the other machines I would say are suitable for beginners and advanced crafters. They're very easy to use and they're designed with crafters in mind. The Big Shot Pro really is a professional machine. So for probably 90% of crafters, 95% of crafters, you don't need a machine like this. This machine is really, I would say, more for perhaps if you run a business, if you're making something like wedding invites, or if you're doing a lot of craft fairs and you're really doing a lot of crafting. The other area that I know this machine is popular for is for quilters, because there are a lot of quilting dies that are similar to Big's dies but a bit thicker. Various different manufacturers, so I'm not going to go into that in this video because I'm not a quilter, I don't own any of those dies. But what I do know about them is that they're a bit thicker than Big's dies, and they do work with this machine. This machine has a different system to it than the Big Shots. The Big Shots, the standard sort of Big Shots, you've just got your platform and your plates. This has got a tray that you use and it slots on here. So I'll explain that as we go, but this does mean that you can use those kind of quilting dies. If that's your area, I would have a look at some other YouTube videos. If you Google Big Shot Pro quilting, you'll see a whole load of videos where they demonstrate how to use those dies with this machine. So I'm not going to get into that here. I'm coming at this as a paper crafter, so I'm just going to give you my point of view on the machine as well. This is the first time I've been working for Sizzix for 4 years, and this is the first time I've used a Pro. So that just shows you really that for most people this is kind of over the top really. However, it's a fabulous machine and I've been using it the last few weeks and I've really enjoyed it actually. I'm lucky, as you can see, I've got a big old desk in here. I've got the space for it because this is a big machine. So let's start with that actually, and I'll tell you the measurements of it. So the machine itself for the footprint is, 24 inches, and then across it's about 15 inches. The tray is just under 13, so I think the dies that you get for this machine are 12 inches across. I'll show you one of those in a minute. So it's a big machine. The other difference from the other Sizzix machines is that the standard size and the Big Shot Plus have got all metal rollers, metal components, but the casing on those is plastic. This is all metal. You certainly wouldn't want to be carrying this anywhere, but it has got 2 handles so that you can move it around your craft room, but it's heavy, and that's just the machine on itself. The tray is also pretty heavy actually because this is solid metal. So put the two of these together, and I wouldn't recommend trying to carry this anywhere because you'll do your back in. So it's an industrial type machine basically. Talking of which, I should explain actually how this came about, because Sizzix, the brand, has been around since 2001. However, prior to that, the parent company, Ellison, have been around since 1977, and they were making die cutting machines for schools in the States. And the machines that they were selling to schools, and still do to this day actually, it's still a big thing, those machines are like this, very similar in style. I would say it's slightly less pretty than the Big Shots. You know, it's got the metal, you can see the screws. It's more of an industrial looking type machine. And of course, if you're investing in a machine that's going to be used in schools for generations, then you know, you are going to invest in a big old metal machine like this. So that's the difference, and that's kind of this in effect was sort of the original die cutting machine before we got the lovely, pretty crafting type machines we might be more used to. So let me explain to you how it works. Actually, I'll turn it around so that I can turn the handle easier. So you've got this tray system, and the machine comes with the tray. It also comes with a base platform. Now, very much like the other Sizzix machines, it's easy to use. The fact that this is a professional machine, don't let that put you off in terms of usability, because it's just as simple to use as all the other Sizzix machines. So you've got diagrams on here showing you how to use it. So that slots in there. Then with the machine, you get a cutting pad, same as you get with your standard Big Shots, but just obviously bigger. And then a crease pad. A lot of the big dies that you might want this for are the sort of crease type dies. So having a crease pad is really useful, and I'll explain to you about that. And then you also get 2 shims, because if you're using, maybe you're using some of your older Sizzix dies, you might find that you need shims, because you've got a crease pad and a cutting pad instead of 2 cutting pads. If you're using larger dies that don't have a crease element, what you might want to do is use your crease pad at the bottom, then a couple of shims, then your die, then your cutting pad on top. So it's a similar sandwich to with the smaller machines, but obviously there is a slight difference. If you're used to using a crease pad, you'll know this. There is a slight difference using a crease pad than using the plastic hard cutting pad. So that just gives you, those shims give you the ability to make sure you get a good cut. So let's start with a die that actually is one that you would only be using in this Pro. This is called, it's a treat bag with windows and flowers, and this is a crease die. It creates a box. Let me grab one, and actually I need to grab some cardstock, so bear with me 1 second. Okay, so I've grabbed a piece of 12 by 12 because obviously this is a big die, and I've grabbed one that I've already made. So this shows you what this die makes. It creates this lovely, almost like it's kind of like a milk carton shape, which I really like. And then you've got this window element here where you can hang your tag from, so it's really pretty. So this is 12 inches across, I guess. Yeah, fits a piece of scrapbook card perfectly. So it tells me on my platform what I need for this. So I need my tray, then this adapter, then my clear cutting pad, here we go, then my die, then my card, then my crease pad. So I'm going to pop the adapter down first in the tray, then my clear cutting pad, then my die with the card on, and then my crease pad on top, and then I can roll that through. And you can kind of feel when you use this, it's a really sturdy machine. There we go. So that's die cut all the pieces. This die comes with some flowers and tags that you can use with the box. But the beauty of using the crease pad is that it is, let me move all these pieces out of the way, is that it has done all my score lines for me. You probably can't see from my camera being so far away, but it does make this really quick and easy to use. So that's the dies that are this size. The beauty about this machine, actually, I think, perhaps if you've got a Big Shot Plus and you do want to use some bigger dies, so you're thinking of upgrading, the thing I love about this is that if you've got the space for it, and I think really the size of this, I wouldn't use this on my desk. It's too big. It takes up too much space. If you're lucky enough to have a craft room where you perhaps have your die cut machine on the side on a table on its own, this is great, because you don't need to be switching out machines if you've got this one. All of your platforms from whichever other Big Shot machine you've got will work with this. So if you forget about all these extras, that you're only really going to need the plates and the shims that come with the machine when you are using 12-inch dies. You're not going to use all of this if you're just running through a couple of wafer thin dies. So for the most part, because let's face it, there aren't that many dies around that are that huge. For the most part, if you're using day-to-day die cutting, you can use whichever platform fits the size of what you want to cut. So for example, these are the plates from my Plus machine. And to use any of your other machine plates in here, it's so easy, because you just use this tray and then you leave this adapter pad in here. Then on top of it you can put whatever plate you want to use. So if I want to use my standard plates, say if I wanted to just cut a few little flower dies from a wafer thin die, I would use my base platform, my thin die adapter and my 2 cutting pads. These are out of my standard size Big Shot, and you see how small they are. Let me just grab a die actually. Bear with me a second. So let's grab something. Here we go. I've got some florals here. So let's just cut this leaf using these. So I'll just grab a bit of green card. So to cut a wafer thin die, I'm just going to use the plates from my standard Big Shot. So I've got them all there ready. I could have picked plates that are a bit less warm than these, but I'll just pile this up. If I move it to the front, you can probably see better. Just place them on top of here. You can place it any way round, you can place it sideways, you can place it forwards, and then just run it through. So for the most part, I've kept this on my desk for a few weeks now. I've been doing some show prep, and I haven't really got anywhere else to put it. So I've just been using this as my die cutting machine and just using whichever plates I need. So that's die cut my wafer thin die. Say I wanted to use an embossing folder, just use the exact plate combination I would, and I just leave these on here and I don't have to think about it, so I can just grab whatever I need. So if I want to emboss something, say if it was a 3D embossing folder, I'll just put my base platform on there, grab my embossing folder. Let's see if I've got one here, over here, let me grab one. Embossing folder, bit of card, pop that in. So usual combination where I've got my base platform, then my embossing folder, then one clear cutting pad on top, run that through. And I think where this is quite useful is perhaps if you're embossing onto a larger sheet. With the standard size Big Shot, you wouldn't have room, you'd have to have your cardstock cut to fit the embossing folder. With this, you can have anything up to 12 inches and run it through. So there we are, that's embossed that beautifully. So that's with my standard plates, and it's the same if I wanted to use the Plus. If I wanted to use big dies, say if I wanted to use an A4, I've got one here, here we go. This is the shopping bag die, A4. This would go through the Big Shot Plus. If I want to use it with this machine, I'd leave the tray and that adapter in, because that's just kind of my basic setup. And then it's exactly the same as I would be doing with my Plus. So for a big die, I just need my 2 clear cutting pads. So I can grab the cutting pads from my Plus machine, pop that on there, then it will just sit on here, and of course this is more than big enough for that, and then I can run it through. So although we're saying it's a professional machine, I guess if you've got loads of space and a dedicated area to have a die cutting machine, you could just have this machine and then just have all the different plates from the other plates and platforms for the other machines, and you wouldn't need to switch out machines. You could do everything on this. So I think I've covered everything there that you're going to need to know about this machine. As I said at the beginning, if you're a quilter and you want to know about how to use those other dies in it, check out on YouTube. There are lots of videos showing how to use the different dies. Also, you may have, particularly if you're in the States, you may have some of the Ellison educational type dies, which are also thicker than a Biggs. So just have a look on YouTube and you'll see the combination of plates to use. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those dies, or I would have demonstrated it for you. I'll put links in the description box below of all the products, where to get the machine, etc., for both the UK and the US. If you've got any questions at all, just leave me a comment there. If you've watched this video but haven't watched my other videos on the other machines, I would recommend doing that. The price point of the Big Shot Pro is quite a lot more than the other Big Shot machines. So I would say you probably are only interested in you only need to spend this much if you need more of an industrial type machine. So if you're not familiar with the other machines, I would check those out first before you decide this is the machine for you. I think that's covered everything, but if I have forgotten anything, please just leave me a question and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.